I've already asked the question from the students that if I have a computer with a very high capacity hard drive, children, very high capacity hard drive, what would happen if I happen to access the file? The speed would be very, very, very slow as such. Why? Computer need to access the whole data. तब वो मेरी फाइल ढूंढ के लाएगा. Is that heard and understood well? Now, what could be done कि हमारा data quickly access हो जाए? We need to create partitions on the drive. Only then data could be accessed with the high speed. Same is the case we did with the accounting document, accounting book, primary record, that is journal. We subdivided it into two parts, children. One is called as journal proper and other is called as subsidiary books. All data related to cash, children, will appear in the book called as cash book. And when the senior accountant wants to reduce the burden and willing to give the responsibility to the junior accountant by advancing money at the start of the first month and then giving whatsoever he spends, reimbursing is basically, that's impress system known as. The book in which that junior accountant happens to record the data, children, is known as what? Petty cash book. So all that drama went well, I suppose. कोई problem नहीं था. और आपने जर्नल एंट्री का ही पोस्टिंग किया था. दिमाग में जर्नल एंट्री की थी और उसके बाद पोस्टिंग कर ली. Now the story is very easy and totally different, children. Now we'll be getting the training on 4 other subsidiary books which will record credit purchase of goods. The book is named as purchase book. The book which records credit sale of goods is known as sales book. ध्यान देना. Any goods which were bought on credit, unsatisfied, we are returning them, will appear in purchase return book. But if these goods were earlier bought for cash and now being returned, sorry to say, they won't go in purchase return book. ऐसा क्वेश्चन डीकेजी में नहीं मिलेगा आपको. ये क्वेश्चन सिर्फ टीएसजी में दिए हुए हैं. Got it clear? Any goods which were earlier sold on credit, now the customers are returning them back, we'll record them in sale return book. Any goods which were earlier sold for cash, now being returned by the customers, sorry to say, will not appear in sale return book. Is this literature heard and understood well? Second, children, preparing purchase book, sale book, purchase return, sale return is very, very, very easy. Practically speaking, आपको क्वेश्चन ही कॉपी करना है पूरा का पूरा. Nothing like that. But difficult part क्या है? Question will give you cash purchases, credit purchases. Question will give you cash purchase of asset, credit purchase of asset, cash purchase of goods, credit purchase of goods. आपको 4 तरीके की purchase और sale मिलेगी. I am putting something, please copy, children. You will be getting 4 type of purchases. That is cash purchases of goods, followed by cash purchase of assets, followed by credit purchase of assets, and at last, children, at last, credit purchases of goods. Heard well, everybody? Heard well, children?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you will be getting cash sales, or simply speaking, cash sale of goods, cash sale of old assets, credit sale of old assets. We are not going to sell our new assets. And children, credit sale of goods. So question, when testing from you all, what is called as to prepare purchase book or sale book, will provide 4 type of data, children. You will be ignoring cash purchase of goods, cash purchase of asset, credit purchase of asset, and will be considering to record only and only credit purchase of goods. I repeat, आप ignore करेंगे cash purchase of goods को, cash purchase of asset, credit purchase of asset. Only what we'll be recording is a credit purchase of goods. Don't get misguided. Sir, we won't be recording these transactions. We will, but in cash book. Sir, we won't be recording this credit purchase of asset. We will. Where, children? In journal proper. I'm not saying record nahi karenge. Purchase book mein nahi record karenge. Similarly, when the question requires you to prepare sales book, they'll give you all 4 types of sales. You'll ignore cash sale of goods, cash sale of old assets, credit sale of old assets. What you would be considering to record in sales book is only and only, children, what? Credit sale of goods. Don't get confused. Sir, isko kahin nahi record karenge. Aisa nahi hai. These 2, children, will be recorded in cash book. This transaction would be recorded in journal proper, and only this one would appear in sales book. Heard and understood well? Further, children. Moving further. Similarly, I would like people to please copy the data further, children. Goods returned to supplier earlier bought for cash, or I can say earlier bought on credit. Similarly, assets returned to supplier earlier bought for cash or bought on credit. So out of these, again, children, we'll be ignoring what and considering what. We'll be ignoring those transactions which were done on cash, either for goods or for assets. We'll be ignoring the transactions where we return the assets, considering to record in purchase return book only and only, children, transactions related with return of those goods which were bought on credit. That's why जो मैंने classification किया था, it had the principal logic titled as what? Goods से related transactions ही यहाँ पे जाएंगे. Similarly, children, goods returned by customer earlier sold for cash or earlier sold on credit. Just hold on, children. Goods returned by customer earlier sold for cash or earlier sold on credit. Assets returned by the buyer earlier sold for cash or earlier sold on credit. Again, in this category, we'll be ignoring the transactions related with assets, children, as well as those goods which were earlier sold for cash and now returned back. Considering only those, I repeat, children, considering only those which were returned now but earlier sold on credit. Cash or asset के transaction से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. We are just concerned with the transactions related with goods. Let's proceed further. So, children, first and foremost in the sequence, we'll be preparing what is called as a purchase book, or you can call it as purchase day book, or you can even call it as children purchase journal. Please mark up purchase journal. You may have a query, sir, why we call it as purchase journal? Because what we have done is this, we have subdivided journal, children. I repeat, children, we have subdivided journal. That's why we have given the name purchase journal. Please mention this. Please mention this. And the content goes in the same manner as I explained just now. It is used to record all credit purchase of what, children? Only goods. We'll ignore cash purchase of goods. We'll ignore cash purchase of assets, as well as we'll ignore credit purchase of assets. It records only and only, children, credit purchase of goods. While putting it, we'll mention the name of the creditor, the value of goods bought, that is quantity multiplied by price, and children, we'll deduct trade discount. If any GST, CGST, SGST, IGST is there, we'll simply add up. You may have a query, sir, why do not we record what is called as cash discount? Because, children, it is a book prepared to record credit transactions. And in case of credit transactions, there sounds to be nothing like a cash discount. Heard well, everybody? Chaliye. So, children, this is the old non-GST format. We used to prepare it in the days jab GST apply nahi hota tha. Now we have this format, children, in front of you. Date. The second column is most important column, titled as what, children? INV. INV is invoice number.
Invoice numbers.
And what is this? It is basically a document that is given by the seller to the buyer, mentioning all the details of the things bought. You might say, sir, just like a bill. Bill word is used by the seller. When the buyer purchases it, the document is not called as bill. It is called as invoice, or it is called as purchase invoice. I repeat, it is called as invoice, or it is called as purchase invoice. So invoice happens to be the source document. Answer, why do we call it as invoice? Iska bhi bahut jovial meaning hai, children. Whatsoever we wanted to say in our voice, we are unable to do so. That's why we gave the document mentioning all those things that we are supposed to so-called say in our voice. It is known as invoice. Heard well, children? Children, heard well? Chaliye, quickly put this, children, quickly. Chaliye. So the question arises how we'll be putting it. But prior we start with this, एक दो चीजें आपको clear कर देता हूं. Children, some books say to put the cost column at the last and total column पहले लिख लीजिए. कोई standardized format नहीं है. Some teachers say where we have written cost, children, there we should write the word purchase. So ये book to book, author to author, teacher to teacher vary करता है. ये सब acceptable है. कोई इसमें कोई hard and fast rule नहीं है. How to record it? मैं एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल आपको शो कर देता हूं. I want people to copy this. Suppose the date is 10th July 2022, children. Invoice number is 425. Name of the creditor is, say, children, X and company. We bought 200 shirts at the rate of 80 each, and let us say 100 trousers, children. 100 trousers at the rate of 40 each. What is 200 into 80, children? 1600 or 1000? 1600? 1000 hoga bhai. And 100 into 40 is what, children? 4000. We'll be drawing a line below this. What is 16,000 plus 4,000 making up? 20,000. Supposingly, question says that there is 10% trade discount. % of 20,000 is what, children? 2,000. What is 20 minus 2, children? 18,000. Please complete up to this, then I proceed further, children. Go ahead, children, moving on. Might be possible we have the composition of GST, children. So it could be CGST, it could be SGST. Might be possible there could be IGST. So either we'll have CGST and SGST, or we'll have IGST. All three cannot come basically. So how to record that? Let us take an example that this purchase is having a GST percentage of 12%. So when we'll divide it, it will have 6% CGST, children, and it will have 6% SGST. So please calculate 6% of 18,000. 1080 and 1080. What's the total coming, children? 20,160. Please put it fast. Below this, you will be drawing a line again. And अब next आप क्या करेंगे? बहुत ध्यान से मेरी बात सुनिएगा children. In the cost column, you will be mentioning 18,000 here, just besides 20,160. In the column of input IGST, it will be blank. In the column of input CGST, 1080. In the column of input SGST, same 1080. And here it is 20,160. Please do not draw any line below the blue values that I've quoted just now. Next transaction will be recorded. Grand total में वो सब जाएगा. Okay? And 20,160 जो आपने in red लिखा था, इसके नीचे line draw कर लीजिएगा. Why we call it as input GST here? Already आपने जब GST पढ़ा था, I've told you are giving some money in the pocket of the government. ऐसे ही बच्चों जब सेल्स बुक आएगा तो इनपुट का ऑपोजिट आउटपुट हो जाएगा. सिर्फ आपको ट्रांजैक्शंस 4 दिए जाएंगे क्वेश्चन में, मतलब सिर्फ 4 नहीं आएंगे, 4 टाइप्स. It could be 7-8 transactions, out of which some will be corresponding to purchase of asset. We'll ignore that. Some would correspond to cash purchase of goods. We'll ignore that. We'll be considering only and only those transactions where we are buying what, children? And that too on credit. ये दो keywords याद रखिए बस. Goods and on credit. Quickly. One more thing we find, we have written here name of the creditor. If you want, you can write particulars as well. And below that, what we have written, children? Account to be credited. What does this mean? When we pass the entry for purchase of goods on credit, what entry do we pass? Purchase account debit, input, whatsoever type of GST we have debit, to respective creditor account. That's why we have mentioned here account to be credited. Okay, quickly do this. Let's continue, children. Let's continue. So children, next we have the concept of expenses. Definitely, children, when we'll buy goods, expenses are to be incurred either by the seller or by the purchaser. If seller is not paying the expenses, definitely we'll be paying them. The entry for payment of freight would be freight or carriage account debit to cash. Now here you have to use your common sense. Being a cash transaction, it should go where, children? But just for a single journal entry, will we be preparing cash book, children? No, no, no. हम अपना काम चला लेंगे journal proper से. But because the question will ask to prepare purchase book, nowhere it would be saying to prepare journal proper or cash book. Be least worried for recording expenses. But if the question says prepare purchase book and necessary records, or the question says from the following transactions prepare necessary records, cash purchase of goods, cash purchase of assets will go where? In that case, you can put the entry for payment of expenses also in cash book. But generally, when you happen to refer some reference books, तो authors ने बहुत बड़ी बेवकूफी की हुई है. Credit purchase of goods, so they record in purchase book. But for freight, they prepare journal proper and cash transactions कहीं record ही नहीं करते. और बच्चा क्या सोचता है? अच्छा, cash transaction won't appear anywhere. No, 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 no. They will appear. But as a student, you are supposed to prepare only and only what, children? परचेज बुक। इसलिए आप इस एंट्री को अगर करना चाहें तो पास इट ओनली इन जर्नल प्रॉपर, डोंट वेस्ट टाइम इन प्रिपेयरिंग कैश बुक। हर्ड वेल? चलिए लेट्स स्टार्ट चिल्ड्रन। वी हैव अ क्वेश्चन चिल्ड्रन। From the following transactions of Ram of July 2020, prepare purchase book. What is written after that? Forget that. Just remember two things. We'll be recording only those transactions which are performed on credit and which are related with what children? Goods or assets? Chaliye. Let's have a reading to this question and let's identify which type of transactions have the eligibility to appear in purchase book. The first one, children, purchased on credit, 50% eligibility proved because it is a 50 iron boxes, 10 grinders, then fans, then grinders and mixie. So while reading the question, what feeling do we develop, children? He has the business of these items or he is buying them only once in a while?
Once in a
Yes,
while.
once in a while. अरे ग्राइंडर यहाँ खरीदा, फिर यहाँ ग्राइंडर खरीदा, फैन, मिक्सी, इलेक्ट्रिकल प्रोडक्ट्स का बिजनेस नहीं लग रहा आपको? इलेक्ट्रिकल प्रोडक्ट्स का बिजनेस नहीं लग रहा? गॉट इट क्लियर? इलेक्ट्रिकल प्रोडक्ट्स का बिजनेस लग रहा है? तो ये इसका बिजनेस है. So first transaction, credit, and there are goods also, children. Will be recorded in purchase book, won't be recorded? Will be recorded. Then we have bought fans. Electrical item is fan, but it is bought for. Will it be recorded in purchase book?
No, sir.
So where it will go, children? But we are not going to prepare cash book. Purchased from Balan and Sons. On credit na bhi likha hota, to only name also means ki credit hi hai. We are buying grinders and mixie. So it's a credit purchase. And these are goods. Yes or no? We will or we won't, children? We will. Purchase on credit. 50% eligibility is there. What we are buying, children? क्या हमारा computer का business है? No. So this won't go. This is the only problem in the questions of other subsidiary books. What is to be recorded and what is not to be recorded have to be chosen very, very, very precisely. Heard well, children? Pakka? Let's continue to record in what is called as purchase book, children. Ready, everybody? The first transaction is on July 5th, 2020. So put the date, children. 5th July 20. We do not have invoice number given to us. Let it be. From whom are we buying, children? Kanan and Company. So we'll write Kanan and Company. 50 iron boxes at the rate of what? Please write it properly. And then what we are buying next? 10 grinders. At the rate of what, children? 3,000. What is 15 to 500 multiplied as? 25,000, and 10 into 3,000 is 30,000.
30,000, sir.
55,000 would be the total, if I'm not wrong. Children, carriage is written here, not to be recorded here. Trade discount is 30%, isn't it? Firstly, we'll deduct discount, or firstly, we'll add tax, children? Discount. Why? Because if you add tax first and then deduct discount, so it means आपने tax में भी discount कर दिया. निर्मला आंटी कहेंगी ये क्या गजब कर दिया आपने. So less, how much discount, children? 30%. 16,500. So what is 55,000 minus 16,500? 38,500. Calculation part is a bit lengthy. 6% CGST and 6% SGST. Add up both, children. 38,500, 6% works out to be 2,310, children. And 2,310. It's 43,120. In the cost column, you'll be putting 38,500. CGST, SGST children. 2,310 and 2,310. And total is 43,120. Heard well, children? Let's proceed further. The second transaction which we are supposed to record, children, is on July 10th. So 10th July 2020. It splits up to the next page, children. 20 grinders at the rate of 2,500. Bought from whom, children? Balan and Sons. 20 grinders at the rate of 200. Makes up how much? 4,000. Sorry. Not 200. It is 2,500. Makes up how much, children? 50,000. Then we have 10 mixi at the rate of 3,000. What is 10 into 3,000? 30 plus 50, children. 80,000. How much do we have trade discount? 10%. So we'll subtract 10% trade discount. It lands up to 8,000. And what is 80 minus 8? 72. And here we do not have CGST, SGST. Rather, we have IGST. So 72,000, 12% is 8,640. What's the total, children? 80,640. Here we'll be putting 72,000. Here we'll put 8,640 dash dash and again 80,640. Heard well, children, how to prepare? Now, finally, children, we'll be showing the totals. Draw the line. 38,500 plus 72,000, children. The total would land up to how much? 1,10,500.